Hello Transformers fans, Velio here, and today we have found out the brand new Transformers Haslab project. Let's talk about it. Firstly, I just wanted to apologise for the makeshift setup I've got going on here. I've actually recently moved, so the background isn't what it usually is. It'll be back to good in no time at all. So without further ado, let's talk about the Haslab project that got revealed today on the Hasbro Pulse livestream. It is none other than Omega Prime, or for its full name, Transformers Legacy 2001 Robots in Disguise Omega Prime. At this moment in time, it's been about an hour since it's been announced, and we've already got 3,000 backers out of the 10,000, which is crazy. It's fair to say it's gone down quite well. And if you don't know what a Transformers Haslab is, it's these like dream projects they put together that require backers before they can even go into production. So first there was Unicron, then it was Star Saber, then you had Deathsaurus, and now the fourth one is Omega Prime. And what they said on the stream was this was in line with the Transformers 40th anniversary. It's kind of the kickstart of the celebrations. So I'm sure there will be lots more to come, but for the 40th anniversary Haslab project, we are getting Omega Prime. And right off the bat, we got these beautiful render images that showed you exactly what Omega Prime was about. We saw the Optimus Prime, we saw the Ultra Magnus, and both of their respective alternative modes. And we also saw a few accessories. We saw the battle tower that Optimus Prime has. We saw the option of them two holding hands like they do in the 2001 Robots in Disguise show. And of course, we saw the render for the combined mode, which is the main event of this Haslab project, and I think it looks brilliant. In my opinion, the value for money could not be better here. It comes in at £250, which is very steep, but definitely not as steep as some of the Haslab projects. I'm looking at you, Unicron. But for that price, you really do get a lot. You get 3 figures in total: the Optimus Prime, the Ultra Magnus, and the Autobot Bluebots. And the Optimus Prime and the Ultra Magnus are huge figures. I mean, I should put a little photo here of the reference chart that the stream gave us. They are huge, and to think they can combine into obviously this big Omega Prime final form is just going to be brilliant. They're coming in at roughly the same size as your Star Sabers and your Deathsauruses. Of course, you're getting 2 of them though, and the 3rd combined form as well. I really do think this is something to be really excited about. I've seen a few people online be a little bit disappointed, but for the most part, I've seen people really excited about this. Personally, I was hoping it was going to be Primus, to have that kind of alternative to Unicron, brother versus brother fighting kind of thing. But after seeing Omega Prime in hand in the stream and the render images, I'm completely sold, and straight away I made sure that I was on the backing list. The money doesn't come out until March, so if you're still waiting to find out if you have the money or not, and you want to back it, you know you want to back it, make sure you do it now so you can get into production, because like I say, you don't pay anything until March, and if there aren't enough backers and it doesn't go ahead, you don't get charged at all. So it's kind of a win-win situation here. You either pay no money, or you pay lots of money and get some really cool figures for it. And this is my first Haslab that I've backed. I missed the Unicron, it was just too expensive for me at the time. How I wish I had the money. And Star Saber and Deathsaurus just kind of came at the wrong time for me. So I was adamant that I was going to get the next Haslab project, because every time I saw these Haslab projects in hand, I thought I need to get my hands on them. They just look brilliant. They are truly engineering brilliance. And so I was so happy when I saw this Omega Prime and what you got for it, for the price as well. I really thought it was quite justified, and I'm really looking forward to getting this thing in my hands in probably about 3 years' time. It took about 1 year for Deathsaurus, 1 year for Star Saber. We've got 3 figures here. We're talking like 2027, surely. Now, in all seriousness, it probably will only be around a year. So if you are thinking about getting the figure, you're looking at probably roughly a year plus a little bit longer. But they do give you updates along the way. At least that's what they've done with the other ones. Here in the UK, for me, it came to £5 shipping, which really is not a lot. I know that it can be a little bit more depending on where you are in the world. So I was quite happy with that. And it wasn't too much added onto the price already. But to talk about the actual figures now, and let's start with Optimus Prime. That's the one they showed first in the stream anyway. I absolutely love this Optimus design. It's not the classic design. I do prefer the classic design, but this is definitely one of my favourite ones. I love the kind of blocky chest it has, the streak across, where the Autobot symbol is, and also where the Matrix is. And they did reveal that the Matrix in this figure is going to be removable, not just something that's put on as like a bit of deco, but actually a removable, playable piece. So that's going to be a really great feature. The face sculpt looks beautiful. I really can't wait to get this in hand and really have a look at this face sculpt. It looks great in the render. It looks great in the prototype image as well. I love the way the ears kind of go into the shield. It gives a little bit of a Wheeljack vibe in a way, but I really think it suits the character. And the colour scheme as well is one of the only Optimuses that have this predominantly red colour scheme to this degree, where there really isn't much blue at all, especially in the upper areas, and I really like it. I think especially that chest area for me is the real standout piece of this Optimus deco. And of course the alt mode is fantastic. One of the only Optimuses, or maybe the only Optimus, to become a proper fire truck, and I think it just looks brilliant. Obviously all the images we saw are subject to change, but I can't imagine they'll change too much, and this really does look great. And there are just so many ways you could pose this figure. You've got the Optimus, you've got the alt mode, you've also got the fact that you can turn it into a battle command tower as well, just like the original toy, and this one is a bit more size scaled to a better degree, so it does suit it more. I think it kind of goes as one piece together. You've obviously got the Ultra Optimus Prime as well in the upgraded form. There's so much going on here, and that ultimate form is just brilliant. I mean, that could be the standout piece on its own. There's so many different ways you can display this figure, I just don't know where to begin. And obviously, to become Omega Prime, you have to have Optimus Prime's brother in the series, Ultra Magnus, and he probably isn't as strong as Optimus as a figure for me anyway. Maybe that's just because what I prefer the design of, but I do really like the kind of, as was mentioned in the stream, 70% leg club. That may not be everyone's taste, but I think it actually really works for the figure. And the alt mode looks brilliant once again. It is very similar to the Earthrise, or maybe even you could argue the Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus alt mode in terms of the back half, but the front half really shines. It's definitely its own thing, and that grille on the front with the Autobot logo I think is fabulous. It's my favourite part of that alt mode. And as I mentioned earlier, they can do the holding hands thing they do in the show. So once again, you've got yet another way to display these figures. There's just so many different possibilities to go off of. You've got the original Optimus Prime, the upgraded Optimus Prime, Optimus with his battle station, Optimus side by side with Ultra Magnus, Optimus holding hands with Ultra Magnus, and we haven't even got to Omega Prime yet. And without further ado, let's talk about him. So obviously, we haven't seen the engineering of this yet. If you had the original toys, you might be able to work out how this is going to go about. I don't have the original toys, so I'm just looking forward to seeing how they do this. But these figures combine to make Omega Prime. And from what we saw, Omega Prime looks brilliant. I mean, when I saw that, I was going to already, but that was when I decided I'm backing this. This is going to be the first Haslab I own. And if you've had all 4 Haslabs by this point, maybe you've got a slightly different opinion, and maybe it is a little bit rose-tinted glasses by the fact that it's my first Haslab, but I'm just so excited. I think it's just going to be a brilliant figure, and I can imagine it being a centrepiece of a brilliant cast of characters with your Omega Prime right in the middle. It's going to be brilliant. The design is amazing. The colour scheme is amazing as well. It looks like this glorious piece of character work. You really feel like they've merged the two together and formed this like unstoppable force of a character. They captured that really well, I think. They brought out the original toy, and with the original toy, it looks like they've kind of got one character, got the other character, and just slapped them together, and it's so wide and chunky. And this one looks so sleek. I was looking at it, and I was thinking, how have they actually made that 2 people in one? It just looks so sleek. The fires look strong and big and very compact. And a lot of the time they went on about the engineering, how they've made it more compact, easy to handle, and also strong to handle. And also you can already see, and they mentioned it as well, the posability this guy offers. The potential there is honestly looking really, really strong. They've mentioned the ankle pivot that wasn't there before. They didn't do much else, but you saw there was a ratchet joint and an ab crunch as well in that kind of centerpiece area. I think it's going to be great. I don't want this to kind of come back and bite me, but every single bit about this character we saw looks great. I almost want to buy 3 of them so I can display them in all their kind of different modes, the Command Tower, the Omega Prime, and the 2 brothers side by side. I might have to chop and change every month to kind of get my feel out of it. And obviously most people will go for that Omega Prime, and I probably will go for Omega Prime as my one to display. But there's something about having the 2 brothers side by side. And don't get me wrong, Omega Prime's great. But this Optimus Prime and this Ultra Magnus, they're big figures. They could easily be all you had for that if they didn't already have the mythos of Omega Prime. If you just saw that and that on its own as the first time you ever saw them, you think these are brilliant, big, cool characters who each transform into their own thing. They did mention that Ultra Magnus comes with his own Matrix as well. So they're both going to have Matrix of Leaderships, or the Energon Matrix as it's called in the show. That's a pretty cool feature. So you don't have to kind of put one in one and choose who you want to have the Matrix. They both have one. I think that's a nice touch. And I just think at the end of the day, this toy is going to be so fun to mess around with, to transform them from one to the other, to combine them, to uncombine them. Play with Ultra Magnus's gun, which also becomes its own robot as well. They didn't need to do that, but that is its own deluxe class robot. Speaking of that being a deluxe class, one thing I didn't mention is that Ultra Magnus's alt mode can fit 3 deluxe class characters in there, obviously including that one. That's a nice touch. They could have, done that differently if they wanted to, but they let us have up to 3 deluxe class cars in there. So if you've got some in your collection already, that could be a good way to load up that trailer. And it certainly does not end there. There's obviously the tiers for the backing. So you have to have 10,000 backers to get the figure. If we get to 10,000, and we're already at the time of recording on about 4,000, the figure is officially going into production. They then have the upgrade tiers. The first one is 13,000 backers. So if we get to 13,000, you get this ridiculous sword. It is the size of a small child. I mean, just look at the images I'm putting on the screen now and just look at the absolute sheer size of this. If you didn't think this figure was big enough already, wait till you have him posing with his sword in the air. Where are you going to put the guy? I mean, I really hope we get to 13,000 backers, because this is going to be such a brilliant set piece with that sword in hand raised over his head. It's a beautiful colour as well. We only saw the prototype in physical form, but we saw the render of the colour. It's a great colour. I really love the way it looks. This probably has to be one of the biggest accessories that Hasbro have ever done in a Transformers toy. I mean, it literally is ridiculous. It has no need to be that big, other than the fact it's that big in the cartoon, but I love it. There's a sheer ridiculousness, the sheer gall to have something that big in your Transformers figure. How can you say no? And the next one comes at 16,000, and it is 2 stands for each Ultra Magnus and Optimus Prime. So that's a really cool way to have them in their robot mode, make it a lot easier for them to pose, have them in some cool dynamic shots. And it also combines together to make like a space bridge kind of thing that you can pose the vehicle forms on. So that's a really cool touch, I think. I probably prefer the sword out of the 2. You can probably find a stand anywhere if you wanted to. Or I think, to be honest, with a figure like this, having them in their hero pose is just the way to go. On the one hand, it might be really cool to see them in a fighting pose or a hand-holding pose, or even back-to-back maybe. But just having that classic hero stance with their legs spread, their shoulders back, and them looking out to the horizon, it has such an aura to it that I think anyone, whether you have them in their Ultra Magnus, Optimus Prime, or Omega Prime modes, you're going to pose them roughly like that, because it's just so awesome. Either way, it's a great accessory to have. I don't know if we'll reach 16,000 backers, but if we do, I certainly would not say no. Obviously for the same price as well. It's just an extra thing you're getting for that price. They said more news will come as we get more into the actual process of it. When we get 10,000 backers, we'll learn a bit more, etc. I can't wait to find out more about it. But what do you think? Tell me in the comments. Are you going to get this figure? If not, why? I have seen a few people not liking the figures. They thought that they were probably too similar to the original ones. I kind of get that. The original ones did do a lot right, in fact, and there wasn't too much design-wise you needed to change. Obviously, there was a lot engineering-wise to change, and it seems they've done that, so I really can't complain. And once again, everything I'm saying could change once you get this in hand. It could be, okay, I misunderestimated it, it's a million times better, or in hand it might be a little bit underwhelming. We're going to have to wait and find out, because you know when I'm getting this, I'm doing a toy review. But once again, let me know what you think. I really am interested. The fandom seems to be quite heavily leaning towards we like it, but there's a few people starting to rise up not so much liking it. So where do you stand on it? Let me know. And to wrap it all up, I just want to say I am excited. And at the end of the day, that is what I want Transformers to make me feel, excited. And when I get it, I want it to make me feel like, wow, this is a great, fun figure. My first Haslab has officially been backed. I really hope after all this it actually makes it into production, but it started off on fire. So I really think we'll get to 10,000. Can we reach the tiers? Can we get the amazing sword and the stands as well? Only time will tell. But if you do want to see all the latest news, updates, and fun Transformers content, be sure to subscribe to this channel and ding the notification bell as well so you know when the videos are coming out. Thanks so much for watching this video, guys. I really hope you enjoy it. I'm going to be making so much more Transformers content coming up. Not just news, but also all kinds of fun stuff. So be sure to check me out, stick around, and hopefully we'll be on a fun little journey together. Thanks, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.